Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to embark on a thought experiment, a journey into a hypothetical future that challenges us to consider the profound complexities of our world. Imagine for a moment a scenario where the delicate balance of peace in Europe, painstakingly built over decades, begins to unravel, not with a single spark, but with a cascade of escalating tensions, misunderstandings, and unresolved grievances, leading to a widespread conflict. It's a daunting thought, isn't it? But by exploring such a possibility, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the peace we often take for granted, and the incredible human capacity for both conflict and, crucially, for resolution and rebuilding. Let's set the scene. Picture a Europe where the intricate web of diplomacy and cooperation has, for various reasons, frayed beyond repair. The initial tremors would be felt not on battlefields, but in the quiet anxieties of everyday life. The news cycles would become a relentless drumbeat of escalating rhetoric. Borders would tighten, and the free flow of people and goods, once a hallmark of the continent, would slow to a trickle. The first signs of widespread conflict wouldn't necessarily be grand declarations of war, but rather a series of localized skirmishes, border disputes flaring into open hostilities, and a rapid domino effect as nations, feeling threatened or bound by old agreements, are drawn into the vortex. The initial shock would be immense, a collective disbelief that such a thing could happen again on a continent that has so often vowed never again. Families would be separated, travel plans cancelled indefinitely, and the simple act of going to work or school would be overshadowed by an pervasive sense of uncertainty. The economic impact would be immediate and devastating. Supply chains fracturing, markets plummeting, and the global economy reeling from the instability. This isn't about glorifying conflict. It's about acknowledging the profound disruption and human cost that even the threat asterisk of it can bring. As the hypothetical conflict deepens, the initial lines of engagement would quickly blur. The idea of a clear-cut us versus them would prove to be a fleeting illusion. Instead, we would witness the emergence of powerful internal dynamics, the rise of revolts. These wouldn't necessarily be uniform or centrally organized. Some would be born of sheer desperation, as populations, caught between warring factions, demand an end to the suffering, the scarcity, and the constant fear. Imagine communities once vibrant and interconnected, now isolated, their resources dwindling, their futures uncertain. In such conditions, the human spirit, while capable of enduring immense hardship, also possesses an innate drive for self-preservation and justice. These revolts might manifest as grassroots movements demanding peace, as local leaders stepping up to protect their people, or as citizens rising against regimes perceived as having failed them or prolonged the conflict unnecessarily. They would be a testament to the enduring human desire for stability, for safety, and for a return to normalcy. These aren't acts of aggression for aggression's sake, but often desperate pleas for a different path, a rejection of the violence that has consumed their lives. Simultaneously, the geopolitical landscape would undergo a radical transformation with the formation of new alliances. Old friendships might be tested, and former adversaries might find themselves aligned by a shared threat or a common goal. These alliances wouldn't always be about military might alone. Some might form out of humanitarian necessity, nations pooling resources to protect refugees, establish safe zones, or provide essential aid. Others might be strategic, born from a desire to balance power, to secure vital resources, or to collectively negotiate for an end to the hostilities. Imagine a scenario where smaller nations, initially overwhelmed, band together for mutual defense, finding strength in numbers and shared purpose. Or perhaps unexpected partnerships emerge between countries that, in peacetime, had little in common, but now face a common existential challenge. These alliances would be fluid, constantly shifting as the tides of conflict ebb and flow, driven by evolving circumstances and the desperate search for a viable path forward. The complexity of these relationships would be immense. A constant dance of diplomacy, trust building, and strategic maneuvering, all against the backdrop of widespread upheaval. As the conflict grinds on, the toll would become immeasurable. The initial fervor, if there ever was any, would be replaced by a profound weariness. Infrastructure, built over centuries, would suffer immense damage, not just from direct conflict, but from neglect, economic collapse, and the sheer disruption of daily life. The environmental impact would be severe. As resources are diverted, regulations ignored, and the natural world bears the brunt of human conflict. But the deepest scars would be on the human psyche. Generations would be shaped by the experience, carrying the weight of loss, displacement, and trauma. The vibrant cultural tapestry of Europe, once a source of immense pride and diversity, would be fragmented, its traditions challenged, its heritage threatened. The very fabric of society, trust, community, shared values would be stretched to its breaking point. Yet, even in the darkest moments, the human spirit would find ways to endure. Acts of kindness, resilience, and quiet heroism would emerge from the chaos, as individuals and communities strive to protect one another, to preserve what they can, and to hold on to the hope of a better future. This period would be a stark reminder of the immense cost of conflict, not just in terms of lives lost, but in the erosion of everything that makes life meaningful. The turning point, when it finally arrives, would likely not be a single decisive victory, but a gradual, agonizing realization that the cost of continuing the conflict far outweighs any perceived gains. The revolts, initially localized and fragmented, might coalesce into broader movements for peace, gaining momentum as more and more people demand an end to the suffering. The alliances, once focused on military objectives, might begin to shift their focus towards diplomatic solutions, driven by the exhaustion of their populations. and the looming spectre of complete societal collapse. Secret negotiations facilitated by neutral parties or humanitarian organizations would begin to take precedence. These would be incredibly difficult conversations, fraught with suspicion and deep-seated grievances, but driven by an undeniable shared desire to stop the bloodshed. The sheer human cost, the economic devastation, and the growing internal pressures would create an irresistible momentum towards de-escalation. It would be a testament to the enduring power of dialogue, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable divisions. The realization would dawn that true victory lies not in conquest, but in the restoration of peace, in the opportunity to rebuild, and in the chance for future generations to live free from the shadow of conflict. The aftermath of such a hypothetical conflict would be a monumental undertaking, a challenge far greater than the conflict itself. The cessation of hostilities would be just the first step. The task of rebuilding would span generations, encompassing not just physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, cities, but also the intangible foundations of society, trust, community, and shared purpose. Economies would need to be painstakingly reconstructed, often from the ground up, requiring unprecedented levels of international cooperation and investment. The psychological and social wounds would be deep, necessitating extensive support for those who have experienced trauma, displacement, and loss. Educational systems would need to be revitalized, focusing on reconciliation, empathy, and critical thinking to prevent future conflicts. New forms of governance and international cooperation would likely emerge, forged in the crucible of shared suffering. With a renewed commitment to diplomacy, conflict resolution, and the protection of human rights, the lessons learned would be etched into the collective consciousness. The fragility of peace, the interconnectedness of nations, and the profound importance of proactive engagement in fostering understanding and preventing escalation. This period would be a testament to human resilience, our capacity not just to survive, but to heal, to innovate, and to build a better future from the ashes of destruction. It would be a long, arduous journey, but one with a profound sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the value of peace. So, what can we take away from this challenging thought experiment? While this scenario is purely hypothetical, it serves as a powerful reminder of the immense value of peace, the fragility of stability, and the profound human cost of conflict. It underscores the critical importance of diplomacy, empathy, and understanding in our daily interactions and on the global stage. It highlights that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable differences, the human spirit yearns for connection, for safety, and for a future free from fear. It reminds us that the seeds of peace are sown not in grand treaties alone, but in every act of kindness, every conversation across divides, and every effort to build bridges rather than walls. Our collective responsibility is to nurture these seeds, to champion dialogue, and to actively work towards a world where such a hypothetical scenario remains, firmly in the realm of imagination, never becoming a reality. Thank you for joining me on this journey of reflection. Your engagement with these complex ideas is what truly makes a difference. If you found this discussion thought-provoking, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more content that explores the world around us. Until next time, let's continue to build a future rooted in understanding and peace